Hello Facebook, this is Chris West from Columbia Crest Winery. Today we are going to talk about the crush pad and where the grapes go once they come into the facility. So first we'll start off with the grape sampler. This piece of equipment here we'll pull a sample from each tub and pull Brix, TA, and pH numbers, and that goes directly into our system so that the winemakers can make decisions based on what they see from the feedback from the equipment. So once they do that, they make a loop around and they come back to what you're seeing here in the background. And on one side we have a belt system, and on this side over here we have an auger system. So we'll have these guys go ahead and start dumping some grapes, and we'll walk over here for just a second. So as you can see, this equipment here's got a little small auger on it, and it pulls the fruit up. It pulls the fruit up inside of it and crushes it up and pulls a sample of the juice, and it's got instrumentation in there that reads Brix, TA, and pH, and then that goes all back to the laboratory. So the grapes that are coming in here today are, it's Chardonnay. These grapes are from the Horse Heaven Hills here. The Horse Heaven Hills AVA, the winemakers like this particular AVA because of it has a real specific minerality in the soil that they really like in the finished product. So this side of the system, like I said, it goes onto a belt. And the belt system is for our highest quality reserved tier fruit. And so you can see as it comes through onto the belt, we're maintaining a lot of whole berries here. And so this maintains the higher quality in the fruit, not juicing so bad and not allowing that juice to turn brown. And no maceration. So this here, again, Horse Heaven Hills Chardonnay. We've gotten some Sauv Blanc in already. We're almost done with Sauv Blanc right now. We've done some Pinot Noir. We've done a bit of Syrah for Rosé, and even one load of Cab Franc has come through this side, which is really a cool deal this year. So the difference here between this is our production side of fruit. A lot of this fruit that comes into this facility is still really high tier, but as you can see, we're getting a lot more maceration happening, and you can see the amount of juice in here with the grapes, and just how it's mushing the grapes a little bit more. It's just not as gentle, and we see a lot more maceration with an auger versus the belt. So those are the two main differences in the receiving system. The winemakers, when we get this reserve and high tier quality fruit, they like to preserve that quality all the way through the facility. And so that was the reason we installed this belt system. It just takes really good care of the fruit the entire way through the process. So these grapes come in on trucks. Each truck will hold about 24 tons, about 8 tons per tub. We'll get we'll get 6 of these trucks per time slot. Our time slots open at 6 o'clock and they go every 3 hours. And we can be open 24 hours a day if we need to. Depending on weather, when we have good weather like we have today, the fruit rolls in here at 600 tons-ish a day. So by the end of the season, we'll probably have about 21,000 tons come into this side of the building. Also, this is it's good to have multiple receiving systems on this side, because if we get a weather event, we're completely at the mercy of Mother Nature, and so if we see some adverse weather coming our way, we can really pack some tonnage in through here in a short period of time. And so it's a very, very nice system. And this is only on the white side. So we have 2 other crush pads at this facility. One's dedicated solely to red grapes, and the other one is solely for reserve red grapes. And that reserve pad is really cool. It's got all hand-picked fruit coming in over on that side. It has an optical sorter, shaker tables. It's a very, very nice high-tech system. We can pretty much remove all of the mog out of the reserve red program. So at times, the winemakers have a really special high quality block of fruit that they want to bring in here. They'll bring it in small bins. The bins are about 4 foot by 3 foot tall by 4 foot wide, and we'll bring those in here. And the reason they bring them in those bins is so that the weight of the fruit, like it is in this truck, when you get so much fruit in there, it crushes down on the grapes and creates more juice. And so I like to think of it as, if I took a bite of an apple and I set the apple out on the counter for an hour and that apple starts to turn brown, that's exactly what happens with the grape juice. So when it comes in these trucks like this, and that fruit has a chance to crush the berries underneath and expose that juice is turning brown on its trip over here and its trip through the system. So the reason for a hand pick is to keep the juice inside the berry as long as we can. And then once we get it inside the press, we have total control of the atmosphere. And so we can really handle it properly and minimize the oxygen. So come on over and we'll see the presses. Okay, so it looks like we've got a couple of questions. Renee says, when are the red wines supposed to come in? The red grapes are happening right now. We just kind of started picking. We've got a little bit of Syrah coming in. The Merlots are almost there. So I assume that we'll be ramping up probably next week on the reds. And Kelsey wants to know, how many different vineyards are you getting grapes from? That's a great question. We have so many growers, contract growers that grow for us. I don't even know anymore. There's got to be 100 or more that we have contracts with. So I'm not sure how many vineyards we have, but it's a lot. So as you can see, the grapes coming in on the belt. They're going inside the press. All of our presses are bladder press, and so they have a giant air bag inside of them, and when it inflates, it squishes the grapes. And it's a lot more technical than that, and we have really specific programs that we can program into these presses that that starts out at a very soft press and then progressively increases pressure against the grapes, and to make sure that we get our yield and still maintain the highest quality possible. And all of our presses are the same system. Some are a little larger, some are a little smaller. So once we're done with once the pressing starts, the juice all collects in a pan directly underneath the press, and that's pumped into the cellar and ends up in tanks in the cellar. We cold settle the wine for a couple days, and then we clean rack off of the sediment that comes in with the juice. We clean rack off of that, put it in another tank, and then we begin the fermentation process. So keep those questions coming, guys, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Okay, what else do I need to talk about?
Do you want to talk about the reserve crush pad a little bit?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So, Lauren had a question about the reserve crush pad. So the reserve fruit, it all comes in hand-picked. And Juan normally tells us exactly how he wants that handled. The winemaking staff comes out and verifies that we're getting all of the mog out of it correctly and the way that they want it to come out, so that we can minimize jacks and stems, petioles, leaves, and just end up with clear, clean fruit. And we have a variety of different fermentation methods for our reserve wines too. We have lots of concrete eggs, ceramic tanks, half stainless, half wood barrels, concrete pyramids, concrete eggs, regular barrels. We have a variety of different fermentation methods that we can use to get different. So I got to give a shout out to my team here. We got Cynthia Torres over here. Say hi, Cynthia. Sonia standing right behind her. Madi is probably over here on this side. We'll say hi to Madi. And then we got Raul. This guy has this place down pat. He is a very, very talented operator. He keeps this show going. As you can see, the trucks were all waiting here at noon, so he was ahead of schedule, which is exactly what we like to see. So Raul does a fantastic job of keeping all of this stuff organized and straight, and it's quite the task. And over there's Mr. Sergio Martin. He's the supervisor for the whole white cellar program, and he keeps the show going. Looks like we got another question from Anna. Are there any other varietals coming in today, or do you just have one varietal a day? That's a great question. Today, no, it's just Chardonnay, but tomorrow we could have Pinot Noir and a Syrah, maybe some more Sauvignon Blanc. Maybe they're trying to test out a load of Riesling tomorrow. We don't know. It's the winemakers go out into the vineyard every day, and they're tasting and testing the fruits, and they're covering the entire Yakima Valley, Horse Heaven Hills, Red Mountain. They're all over this area every day, tasting each individual block, going through the rows, checking for flavor and acid and all the other good stuff that make our wines great. And they'll call those loads in, and so we get to know about 12 hours in advance what's coming in. Oh, and there's some more questions here. How many trucks, Matt says, how many trucks will come in throughout the day? Great question, Matt. There's 6 trucks that come in at 6 a.m. and then we'll get 6 trucks every 3 hours from there out until depending on the weather, we're done. Right now, we got 6 loads of trucks coming every 3 hours up until 3 o'clock p.m. this afternoon. Tomorrow it could go to 6. If the weather gets a cold snap, we could be open till midnight. And so there's plenty of trucks coming in here. There's no shortage of grapes, that's for sure. And Sean asks, why is there a different crush pad for red and white grapes? And that's a great question. So white grapes will go directly into the press. And the juice is pressed out and it goes into a tank. We clean rack the lees, we call it, or the sediment that comes in through the pressing process. We settle that out to get clean juice. We move that to another tank, and then that tank is fermented out. On the red side, when the grapes come in, the grapes themselves go into the tank. So they don't go into a press first, they go into a tank first, and then we ferment the grapes inside the tank. Then 6 or 7 days later, we dig that, we'll drain off the juice, and we'll get in and we'll dig the pumice out, and we'll press the leftover pumice or the leftover grapes and extract the remaining juice out, and that's how it goes in the red side. So that's what the main difference is that the whites go directly into a press and the reds go into a tank. So like I said, weather plays an important part in our process. And so sometimes we don't have a lot of time, and so we work very long days. So our shifts we operate from 6 to 4:30 on day shift and 4 to 2:30 on nights, and we do that 7 days a week. We only crush grapes 6 days until we get a weather event or something that tells us we need to bring the grapes in quicker than that. But most of the time it's 6 days a week, 20 to 24 hours a day process. So Anna's got a question. How do you determine to pick whole berries or not? That is a winemaker question, and those are generally reserved tier fruit that come in whole berry. And again, those come in small bins so that we're not crushing the grapes during transport. and those will end up on the same grape schedule. They'll just be listed out separately for reserve, and it'll tell us that there's a hand-picked load coming in. But that's Juan Munoz and his team that are out there in the vineyards every day making those decisions on whether to hand-pick or not. So what you can kind of see behind me here is a really large air compressor. And so with the grapes going directly inside the press, and those presses are all bladder presses, it requires an enormous amount of air, tremendous amount of air. And so we have to bring a unit like this in to make sure that we have enough air supply to continue pressing with 6 presses all day long. So you can see behind me, Sonia here is getting ready to hook up a gondola. So she kind of directs the traffic through here. And she'll go flag down the correct truck, and she'll bring that truck in here to the gondola, to the crane. So this auger right now is stopped because we do a lot of dejuicing right here as well. And so with no juice going into the press, the fruit likes to pile up in there, and we have to roll the press a few times to get all the fruit in there. Okay, she's waving them through. Okay, so we're gonna watch Sonia here, and so she brings these, she'll call in the correct truck. She motions him to come through, and she stops him right where the clevis is. She'll hook up the crane. She walks around, tells the operator it's hooked up and ready to dump. And again, I cannot say enough about this crew out here. They are absolutely wonderful. These ladies up here do a tremendous job for us. Again, Raul's doing awesome. I couldn't ask for a better crew on this crush pad. So Cynthia here is Cynthia's got the controls to the crane up here, and so she's just lifting it up and making sure that it takes some skill to get this thing up and over without losing control of it and keeping it balanced properly. So she does a really nice job of doing this softly where we don't get wet right here. Okay, well, that's about it for the white crush pad. Thanks for watching, and everybody log in and vote for the next Facebook Live that you'd like to see from Columbia Crest. Thank you.